You're going to want to watch this. New allegations against her and him too. Hello, my friend. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and still your number one source for everything It Ends With Us saga. As many of you watching this closely know, Bloober Blake Lively is in her sanctions phase. The ruler of redactions is a hardcore sanctionista, and just this week got a win. But thankfully, Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties also got a win, so it was evenly split. However, just moments ago, Baldoni's lead attorney, Brian Friedman, penned something which I have not seen Friedman take the lead on a filing in a while. And that, in and of itself, is noteworthy, plus what he has to say. Also, there are a ton of attachments, and I have not seen them yet. So we're going to go through everything together in real time. This brings me such joy. Brian Friedman, who is also my attorney but did not represent me in Subpoena Gate, says, quote, "Dear Judge Lyman, on behalf of Wayfarer Studios LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, It Ends With Us Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan, the Agency Group, and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, we write in response to the letter filed by Blake Lively on November 14th, 2025, seeking leave to supplement the Rule 11 motions filed by Lively and Ryan Reynolds in May 2025. Remember, I covered this recently for you all. Back in May, the dastardly duo separately filed Rule 11 sanctions against Brian Friedman and the Wayfarer attorneys, claiming that they filed frivolous claims against the two of them. Unfortunately, the following month, in June, her bestie, Judge Lyman, tossed Baldoni and Crew's lawsuit in the garbage. For procedural reasons, not on the merits of what they were arguing. Remember that. Very important. The judge was only saying, procedurally, this cannot move forward, but you can amend your complaint again. We all know they chose not to reserve their rights for appeal. So last week, the subpoena superstar did a little PS to add to this Rule 11 sanctions motion from back in May, adding information they gathered during the deposition of Steve Sarowitz and Jen Abel, the co-founder of Wayfarer Studios and Baldoni's publicist, respectively. So, Friedman says, on May 19th and 20th, 2025, Lively and Reynolds filed Rule 11 motions, arguing that the Wayfarer party's first amended complaint lacked factual allegations sufficient to support their claims and were therefore legally unreasonable and factually baseless. Ouch! I hurt my back with that reach. Friedman continues. At the time the Rule 11 motions were filed, the court had not decided the motions to dismiss, which were based on the same pleading deficiencies cited as grounds for Rule 11 sanctions. In opposition, the Wayfarer parties argued that Rule 11 is not a proper vehicle to challenge pleading deficiencies that were already pending before the court in the motions to dismiss. The Rule 11 motions were fully briefed by June 10th, 2025, when Lively and Reynolds filed their reply briefs. Lively and Reynolds now seek to supplement their Rule 11 motions with excerpts from the depositions of Steve Sarowitz and Jennifer Abel, claiming their testimony demonstrates the wayfarer party's counsel's knowledge that their clients could not articulate any basis to assert the challenged claims. The motion for leave to supplement should be denied for several reasons. First, as noted, the Rule 11 motions were fully briefed based on the notice provided. Before imposing any sanction under Rule 11, a district court must adhere to the procedural rules which safeguard due process rights. Chief among these rules is Rule 11C2, which requires the party seeking sanctions to describe the specific conduct that allegedly violated Rule 11B in its moving papers and give the offending party 21 days before filing the motion to withdraw the challenged paper, claim, defense, contention, or denial. Second, the Abel and Sarowitz depositions were not recently discovered evidence, as their depositions were taken on September 26 and October 3rd, respectively. Lively offers no explanation for filing her letter at this juncture, just days after the Wayfarer party's summary judgment motion. Lively's reliance on Sarowitz and Abel's answers to deposition questions about the basis for their legal claims, coupled with the letter's odd timing, reflects an apparent effort to reassert control over the news media cycle. Accurate. Third, whether a client can articulate the basis for his or her legal claims at deposition is not the relevant inquiry. Lively and Reynolds mistakenly attempt to draw some importance to the fact that Sarowitz and Abel were unable to answer questions at their depositions concerning the allegations in the complaint, quote, without relying on insights from their lawyer. Pause. I'm so happy we now know what the charlatan of sham redacted in that letter last week. Unnecessary redactions. Friedman continues, a party is not expected to answer questions at his or her deposition about the factual basis for his or her legal claims, particularly when, as here, the allegations are based upon counsel's investigation and later discovery rather than the party's personal knowledge. As noted by Lively regarding her own inability to articulate the basis of her claims at deposition, quote, it makes no sense to suggest that facts in a party's personal knowledge, as opposed to facts developed from the public record, from the investigations of others, and through discovery, would be particularly relevant to, never mind dispositive of, the nature of the challenged conduct. Moreover, a party's inability to articulate the factual basis for his claim at deposition is not even sufficient to warrant summary judgment. Fourth, the Sarowitz and Abel testimony ignores other evidence uncovered in discovery, listen up, which demonstrates that, in fact, there was ample evidence to support the defamation claim against Reynolds. A document produced by Lively reflects Reynolds redacted. Reynolds also produced documents in this action pursuant to subpoena. Those documents show that, among other things, Reynolds redacted again. I need to know. This is alleged proof that Ryan Reynolds defamed Baldoni and the Wayfarer defendants. And even more redactions. Look at this. That is a big chunk of meat. I need this. Give me the meat. Where's the beef? I hate redactions from both sides. Reynolds also remarked to redacted. The evidence also demonstrates that Reynolds overtly attempted to interfere with Baldoni and Wayfarer's relationship with WME, William Morris Endeavor, his talent agency and his former talent agency, after Baldoni was dropped at the behest of Scarlett Johansson's ex-husband, according to Wayfarer. Seems like the redacted referenced the head of WME, that Emmanuel fella. Rahm Emanuel? Ari Emanuel? Who cares? Hopefully I got it wrong. I think it's Ari Emanuel. Friedman continues. Emanuel has since acknowledged responsibility for firing Baldoni from WME. In short, the Wayfarer party's claims against Reynolds were not factually without foundation, but were, in truth, supported by Reynolds' own written words. For the foregoing reasons, the Wayfarer parties respectfully request that the court strike Lively's letter and accompanying declaration and deny the related motion to seal as moot. If the court does grant leave to Lively and Reynolds, the Wayfarer parties respectfully request that the court grant them leave to file a fulsome substantive response to the letter within 2 weeks. Respectfully submitted, Brian Friedman. He was not going to take sanctions against him lying down. Brian Friedman has spoken. Now let's take a look at some of these exhibits. Fingers crossed they're not all redacted to high heavens, but they probably will be. Let's see what's included. It's like Christmas. There is a declaration from Brian Friedman. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. Let me read it off camera and then come back if there's anything from this that I need to share with you all. Yeah, that was all boring. He was just saying, here's everything that I'm going to be including, and it's all true and correct. Exhibit A, filed under seal. Not even redacted. We can't see anything. Exhibit B, filed under seal. Exhibit C, filed under seal. Exhibit D, filed under seal. I'm sensing a pattern here. Exhibit E, filed under seal. Exhibit F, filed under seal. Exhibit G, filed under seal. Exhibit H, filed under seal. And Exhibit I, filed under seal. Wah, wah. But you know what is not under seal? Cameo.com/myname. If you go there, you can get a personalized video from me. Perfect for the holidays or any occasion. Cameo.com/P to the E to the R to E to the Z to the H to the I to the L to the T to the O to the N. Also, if you want to support in a totally free way, read my website every day, throughout the day. My name, Perez, my last name, Hilton.com. Also, if you like my podcast, I'm super active on the message board. So is my co-host. Sign up for our Patreon and get an exclusive podcast a week. You can do that at patreon.com/myname. If you want to pick up something fabulous, stylish, cute, and clever, I've got Grab Your Friends, Wear Your Florals merch. I organically dislike you, greater than my haters, Team Truth, Free Perez, and so much more. Check out all of my official merch at buypopstuff.com. That's buypopstuff.com. If you watched until now, you are a superstar. God bless you. Thank you. From my family to yours, your support by watching until the end is the most meaningful thing you can do. Hit that like button also if you want to support even more. Share this video and in the comments section say, seal. Seal. Boo! That. But this still was very juicy, I think. Thoughts on this latest response from Brian Friedman? Let's discuss it all in the comments section.